Then some reports that he's not eating. This could be maybe because the food isn't up to his standards, it's not what he likes, but also there are some potential reports that he's fearing someone may poison his food.
That's why he wanted to get out, so bad. But I think that they're gonna railroad Diddy. Do I think that there are maggots in the food? I won't trust anything when you of the stature of Diddy. Do I think they give every inmate maggot food? Probably not.
Eating maggots is unlikely to cause serious harm, though it could potentially lead to bacterial contamination if the food was already spoiled. So Diddy and your lawyers, get it right when you want to complain.
We're just dropped that Diddy is allegedly out here claiming the food behind bars got maggots in it. Now, if that don't sound like a horror story on a metal tray, I don't know what does. But here's the kicker. Folks are whispering that this ain't just bad prison cooking. This could be a setup. Think about it. Diddy's been a lightning rod since those raids with names flying around, lawsuits stacking, and his whole empire looking shaky. And now, reports of maggot food right in his cell block. To the casual ear, it's just another shocking prison headline. But to the plugged in, this smells like more than rotten meat. See, the bigger question isn't just what's on the plate, it's who wants him silenced and how far they'll go. Epstein's name is already floating around in the comments, with people saying the elites might be running the same play again. Take a man out not by fire or shank, but by something that looks like an accident, allegedly. So the question is Diddy really just suffering from dirty prison kitchens, or is this the first taste of a slow motion assassination?
You understand what I'm saying? So can I believe that they were giving Brian Nichols and poisoning his food and giving him maggots and stuff in the food, and he was always sick and he wouldn't eat me, he went on a hunger strike? Of course I can. Especially if I'm one of the deputies or something and you don't came in here and killed one of my family members and I gotta feed your black ass. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get whatever I give you, player. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell them what's gonna be up in the food. So I don't know who is serving Diddy. The people that serving Diddy, are they, they love the women. They pro women.
So let's keep it a buck. What the system feeding us versus what the block whispering don't even live on the same planet. On paper, Brooklyn prison trying to play it cool. Oh, the building old, the kitchen underfunded, couple lil hygiene slips. Like we supposed to shrug and say, damn, that's jail for you. That's the public spin. They frame it like Diddy just another inmate complaining about the slop, like the same chicken patty that looked gray, been sliding across trays for decades, and this time it just had some extra protein. You feel me? But the street read, sis, it's louder than the kitchen fans. Folks ain't buying no, oops, maggot slipped in. They saying this sound like a setup, plain and simple. Epstein deja vu. Allegedly, the elite's trying to handle Diddy the slick way. No shanks, no cell fight, just poison by plate. Kill him softly so it looked like a freak accident instead of a hit. Cause let's be real, a billionaire who been up in the freak-offs with half the industry, that man sitting on receipts heavier than a RICO case. If he talk, he take down more than himself.
Those rumors you are hearing about maggots being in the food at MDC Brooklyn are all lies.
Now peep the game. Who really eats if we believe the dirty kitchen story? The system. Cause that keep Diddy small, just another whiny inmate. It erased the idea that maybe, just maybe, they trying to shut him up before them subpoenas multiply. It make the media comfy too, cause they can call it a sanitation issue instead of peeking behind that curtain. But flip it. Who win if the streets believe it's a hit? Diddy, his day ones, anybody still praying he sentences ain't gonna be something that seems him in diapers when he comes out. Cause it switched the whole narrative. He ain't just some fallen mogul crying in commissary. He's a target, a man the powers that be so scared of, they gotta lace his plate to keep him quiet. That's survival points, sympathy points, all rolled into one. So here we at, two versions of the same tray. One plate say, you bad prison food. The other say, nah, they trying to erase a man through lunch meat. And the truth somewhere in between the moldy bread and the whispers floating outside them cell walls.
The FDA has legal limits. The FDA allows some insects, including maggots, in certain foods, like drained mushroom. Eating maggots, while it's not ideal, accidentally eating maggots is unlikely to cause serious harm, though it could potentially lead to bacterial contamination if the food was already spoiled. So Diddy and your lawyers, get it right when you want to complain.
See, if you really want to peep the whole picture, you gotta line up the dots from back then to right now. Cause this ain't no one-off. This maggot plate drama feel like another verse in a long-ass song that been playing for years. First off, let's not play dumb. Diddy name been floating in whispers since the 90s when Bad Boy ran the airwaves. Folks been talking allegedly shady contracts, wild parties, and them infamous freak-offs that had young artists signing more than music papers. Back then, everybody laughed it off. That's just Puff being Puff. But right now, with him sitting behind bars, lawsuits stacking, raids already happened, and old associates popping up with stories, the whole thing read less like messy rumor and more like a pattern somebody been running for years, allegedly. Fast forward, Kim Porter 2018. The streets still ain't put that to bed. Official line said pneumonia, clean and clinical. But allegedly, she was gearing up a tell-all that would have cracked Hollywood like stained glass, names, nights, and what really went down behind them mansion doors. Then boom, sis gone. No long runway, no warning. The timing felt too clean, too convenient, like somebody ironed the wrinkles out the narrative before we even asked the question. And that's why folks side-eye what's happening to Diddy right now, because the rhyme scheme is nasty. Back then, the headline read, "She got sick." Today, it's "He eating maggots." Neat explanations both times, easy for the public to swallow. Tragic illness, bad prison food, move along. But the streets got long memory and louder instincts. They whisper that the same playbook Diddy allegedly ran on his woman who might have been ready to talk is now being run on him. Slowly, quietly, deniably. Two tidy stories, same cold chorus, nothing to see here, and the block just keeps yelling setup, allegedly. Then you got Epstein in 2019, locked up in a federal cell, supposed to be under heavy watch. Then boom, he's gone from Mother Earth. Child. The math never math. Cameras malfunctioned. Guards asleep. We've seen this movie. That's why now, with Diddy, the deja vu hitting so hard, the feds don't need another high-profile death on their hands, but the elites, they don't care how it looks. They care about who keeping quiet. And don't forget, Diddy been running tight with politicians, billionaires in them same corporate suits who smile for photos, but would bury you alive if it meant saving their brand. He partied with them, made money with them, shared secrets with them. And if even half of them secrets leak, baby, that's careers, legacies, whole empires turned to dust. So when we talk about maggots in the food, it ain't just about prison sanitation. It's about a pattern. One that say, if you know too much, the story always gonna be you just got sick or you just had an accident. Diddy looked like the next domino in that chain.
So what happened with Diddy? I think what happened with Diddy is Diddy had a bunch of very incriminating tapes. I think, Epstein light. And I think they arrested him to round it all up. All the data. I think they did it to get all the data away from Diddy because he was being sued in civil court. And the guilty party said, we got to get it out of there before the civil court gets it. And so they arrest Diddy. What'd they just convict him of? Nothing. They could have put him away for 20 years based on what he did to Justin Bieber.
All right, let me play both sides for a minute because that's where the real tea always boil over. On one hand, you got folks swearing this man Diddy is the victim now. They like, bruh, he know too much and them elites gon' clip him before he ever touch a courtroom mic. And yeah, that theory sound juicy. It sound like the streets talking sense. But if we keep it funky, ain't it also possible Diddy just riding his own karma wave? Like this the same dude who been the boogeyman in hip hop for decades. He's the one folks allegedly said was pressing artists into shady deals, running wild parties, and moving in ways that left his circle scarred. Some even point back to Kim Porter, like, if the rumors about what happened to her was true, then maybe he facing the same playbook he once flipped on her. That's where the devil's advocate gonna tap in. Maybe he ain't the hunted, maybe he finally the hunted turned hunted. Cause look, in them same cells, plenty dudes getting served the same rotten food, catching the same sickness. They just ain't billionaires with lawyers ready to cry conspiracy for them. That's the other side's argument. This ain't no secret plot, it's just prison being prison. Dirty trays, moldy bread, mystery meat that could raise the dead. Happens to regular dudes every day. They just don't got TMZ covering it. Now, if you want to really flip it devil's advocate style, think about this. What if Diddy himself leaning into this poison narrative? Like, imagine he trying to spin his jail time into a martyr story. Look, they trying to silence me. They scared of what I know. If the public buy that, boom, he back in the spotlight as the underdog, not the predator. He could go from canceled mogul to survivor of the system, which is a hell of a rebrand. But the risk? Who, child? If it is real, if this really Epstein 2.0, then all that devil's advocate talk don't mean nothing because you can't out rebrand a coffin. One slip of poison, one plate of oops, bad kitchen hygiene, and it's curtains. So the question becomes, is Diddy a victim finally catching the smoke he dished out, or is he a strategist trying to play the streets against the suits? Either way, the man sitting at the intersection of karma and conspiracy, and that's a dangerous corner to stand on.
They're not getting any Michelin-starred or gourmet food in prison. So you got to think, on a practical standpoint, a realistic standpoint, Diddy's probably used to really good food, and the best food that money could buy. You know, of course, he had the resources for that. So it could be that the food is just so reprehensible to him, and he's not, you know, he doesn't have a taste for it, that he's not eating because of that. Or it could be a genuine fear that he has that someone may be out to get him. And then he doesn't want to take that risk.
So boom, here we are at the end of the plate. And it's nasty no matter which way you chew it. Diddy sitting in that Brooklyn cell complaining about maggots in the food. But the bigger story ain't about what's crawling across his tray. It's about what's crawling across his legacy. See, on paper, Diddy was supposed to be untouchable. He built an empire off bad boy hits, turned Ciroc into a lifestyle, partied with presidents, and crowned himself Brother Love. But love don't mean nothing when the feds knocking at your door. Now, instead of polishing Grammys, he arguing about rotten lunch meat. That's the fall-off story the public spin want to sell. Another superstar crashed out, no bigger than the average inmate. But the streets, they holding his legacy in a different chokehold. They saying if they can do this to Diddy, poison him in plain sight, weaken him with a food tray, then ain't none of us safe from the machine. That flips him from predator to potential martyr. Best case scenario, Diddy make it out alive, leans into the I survived the system narrative, and rebuilds himself as the man who knew too much but refused to fold. That version got him dropping a memoir, doing interviews, maybe even cashing out on sympathy streams. Legacy tarnished, but at least he writing his own final chapter. Worst case, this maggot food plot ain't just rumor. It's step one in a slow kill. The headlines get chalked up to prison neglect and Diddy legacy. He don't get remembered as a mogul or a genius. He get remembered as another name in the Epstein files. Powerful man who knew too much, didn't make it out alive, and left the world wondering what secrets died with him. And here's the irony that bites. Diddy spent his whole career making other folks dance to his beat. Now, he might be the one dancing to someone else's drum, a drum he can't even hear, being played in boardrooms and courtrooms far outside that cell.